Premiership Rugby this weekend, folks. I'm a little bit late with this video. Apologies. I had my dad and mum around yesterday, so everything's a little bit behind schedule. But I did get to watch one of these games with my old man, which was pleasing because he doesn't watch a lot of Premiership. But good weekend of games, right? Look at these scorelines. No blowouts whatsoever. Every game a losing bonus point. Couple of red cards, which is unfortunate. But yeah, a bunch of tries. Mostly just a bunch of close games. It's got to be the sign of a healthy league, right? Where you've got the top team that beats the bottom team by only 4 points. I know it's a little bit weird at the moment with all the Six Nations guys, England Six Nations guys especially being out. But yeah, just an overall pretty pleasing weekend of rugby. I've seen 3 of the games. We'll go through all of them because I've seen the highlights of all. We'll go through the games, some stats, key events, and you guys can let me know your thoughts. The first one, Worcester and Bristol. A lot of points scored in the first half, not so many in the second. And to be fair, I know Worcester's been on a huge losing run. That has been snapped now. I feel like Worcester could have won this by a bit more. In the second half, they couldn't put Bristol away. They probably should have. So as pleased as they'll be to get the win, I honestly feel like they could have won it by a bit more. Bristol ended up having to play Ioan Lloyd at number 9, which is not ideal because I know the guy plays a lot of positions and he's not the biggest guy, so he kind of has the build of a 9, but he's not a 9. So yeah, kind of awkward for them. And every time I think Bristol's about to kind of turn things around, it just doesn't happen. Started with Duan Banamova getting a try. All Worcester early, to be fair, 7-0, and they made it 14-0 when Beck got on the board. It was a bunch of close range phases for that one, so kind of a back's try and a forwards try, 14-0. But then Bristol with a quick fire double and kind of through their forwards. Luatua gets one and Lahif gets one. So not the old flashy backs with Bristol this time. It was the boys up front getting it done. Penalty count before halftime was like 10-1. So Worcester being pinged big time by the ref, but still goes in, all tied up. And it was really pleasing just to watch Worcester. Like, they were running out their own 22. Like, very kind of ambitious play, which was, just very easy on the eye. Speaking of easy on the eye, I mean, Ioan Lloyd won't look back on it fondly, but Vailanu, the big number 8, he's a unit, isn't he? And then him just picking and going from the back of that ruck to flatten Ioan Lloyd on the way to the try line. Goodness gracious, that's a highlight reel try, but you got to feel a little bit sorry for Ioan Lloyd. He put his body on the line, he gave it a crack, but yeah, he failed. Failed to bring down the big man. Worcester scrum was getting on top. Bristol had a yellow card for a deliberate knock-on. As I said, Lloyd had to play number 9. Worcester had a chance, like they were mauling it up and then they would get maul turned over, so that they just couldn't land that killer blow, but they did manage to hold out. So yeah, I mean, statistically it's pretty tight in some areas. Like the run meters are pretty close, 428, 459. Possessions 50-50. Territory, I got an email apparently. Territory is 51-49. Clean breaks is 8-3, so that's one area Worcester generated a lot of chances. You would expect if you're generating that many clean breaks to have more than 3 tries, but not necessarily. Bristol had more turnovers conceded, 18-13, so that's an area of concern for them as well. Big Duhan, he always looks dangerous. 100 plus run meters, 10 defenders beaten. No, sorry, it's 96 run meters, 10 defenders beaten, 3 clean breaks. Fitzharding did his best to keep the game close. For Bristol, the number 8, he had 25 out of 25 tackles, which is a pretty solid shift. So yeah, as I said, Worcester's winless run is done. They are 4 wins, 11 losses, and a draw in 12th. Bristol are not much better, 5 wins, 10 losses, in 10th. Both sides are at home next week. Harlequins for Worcester and Wasps for Bristol. Next game, Bath and Leicester. I also watched this one. Top side in Leicester travelling to the bottom side in Bath. It's still very pleasing to see Bath gets pretty much a packed house every game, even though they've been pretty poor this season. But they did score 3 tries in the first half, and they were ahead for a while. Like, Leicester got the scoring under the way with a bunch of kind of relentless carries. Nandolo, Visa ends up finishing it. But then Bath hit back through Muir with a little dink through from, I think it was Spencer. And Muir showed some real wheels to get a hold of that one. And then Wigglesworth got on the board for Leicester, so it was real tit for tat, bit of a it was turnover ball, which is always brutal. But it was a real try fest early on. Like, the game has 6 tries and 3 of them in 12 minutes. So That kind of speaks to the intensity of the start of the game. Bath got yellow carded, was Muir the try scorer, for taking a man out in the air. He kind of pulled out of a tackle, well, pulled out of the competition from memory, but he got landed upon, which, you know, you've got to keep that area clean. So, but Bath handled the yellow card pretty well. They scored some points, and they even went in front when Ajomo got another one. That was like the maul failed, but they got advantage and they dinked it through, and he just pounced on it. So they got some pay with the old little kicks through to Bath. So 15 points to 14. They made it 20 points to 14 when Bayless went over. That one was from like an up and under from memory, from my notes, which are pretty unclear. But yeah, 20 points to 14. So Bath were holding for a while, but they eventually conceded one. Freddie Burns with a dummy, and he managed to go over plus kick the conversion, so to make it 21-20, put them in front. Bath, I think towards the end of the game, it's a while ago now, were under the pump for a while. They were managing to get some turnovers to kind of keep them in the game, but in the end it just wasn't enough. So there's no scoring after that Burns try, apart from one penalty to Leicester. So yeah, Bath needed to go length of the field at the end to have a chance, but no, they ended up knocking it on. So losing bonus point against the Tigers, given the positions on the log, is maybe not too bad, but yeah, at least it was a good watch. Possession 52 is pretty close, but Leicester all the territory 70%. That's maybe where the game was won and lost. Run meters 206 to 250. Leicester having more. Clean breaks 4-3 is pretty tight. Bath edging it. Defenders beaten is exactly the same, 15 apiece. So yeah, it's pretty even in some ways. Wigglesworth finishes with a try assist, 22 run meters, beats 2 defenders. So nice stuff. Hughes is looking like a bit of a unit for Bath as well. 43 run meters, 2 defenders beaten, and 14 from 14 tackles. Often used to get criticised for his work rate, but from memory, that's the top Bath tackler. So yeah, I mean, Bath are still 13th, 2-14 is their record. They're away to Newcastle next. That's going to be an interesting game just because both sides haven't had a win for a little while. Bath more recently, and Leicester are home to Gloucester, which should be pretty interesting because Gloucester had been in good form as well. So two sides towards the top end of the table. Leicester are first, 14-2, the opposite record to Bath. Did seem pretty windy in this one as well, which maybe affected things a little bit. The next one, London Irish and Saracens. That one goes down to the kick at the death to win this one for London Irish. I only saw the highlights for this one. Curtis Rona finishes with 3 try assists out of the 4 tries that London Irish score. Huge wide ball early left for the first one, 5-0. Saracens kick a penalty, and then a pass to the right for the second one for Bernard Jensen from Redsbury. He gets both the tries early of 3 minutes and 24 minutes. So yeah, 12 points to 3, but Sarries get back with a maul try. That one's Wollstonecroft. So yeah, it's very much an interesting one. I mean, Coleman gets a nice charge down to give London Irish a pretty... I think it was De Haas was playing 9, right? Or was that only later on in the game? Got charged down, box kick, and then Coleman went over. So it gave them a... was it 19-10 lead at halftime? And then Sean O'Brien gets yellow carded, but they still managed to handle the yellow card period pretty well, seemingly London Irish. They don't concede points, and they even managed to kick a penalty. And then Rona gets another try assist. That one was for Ollie Haskell-Collins on 64. So yeah, Curtis Rona, he was a bit neglected in his time in Australia, but he seems to be having a ball over in the Premiership. So 29-23. I forgot to mention Shagan's try out the right wing for Sarries. It kind of really made it sit for tat. A weird moment of the game was the Coleman red card. I feel like that's going to be... It must have been a big talking point. It's one of the weirdest red cards because I think it's Lewington cuts down the left wing. He skins, is it Rowe? And yeah, he's bursting along. Coleman's trying to kind of cover the space and get in the way. And then Lewington cuts back, right? And then kind of steps into him, but he's in a tackling position, so it's a weird one where I didn't feel like Coleman like clattered him, but it was a line break, so it was an awkward position. He wasn't maybe in the best position. I guess the responsibility always comes back to the tackler, doesn't it? But it was just such a weird red card. I mean, I guess by the laws, it's a red because he hits him in the head, but it was just such a bizarre one that he cut back inside into Coleman. It just didn't feel like, you know what a normal red card feels like. This didn't feel like that. But he ends up getting red card. I think it's his second red card in kind of recent times, isn't it? So, yeah, and then Saracens actually managed to go in front. Tompkins gets a try. So they immediately punish after the red card. Red cards on 76, tries on 77. So, yeah, pretty brutal stuff. But, fortunately for London Irish, they managed to kick a penalty at the death. Paddy Jackson steps up to slot that one, and it's 32-30 home crowd. Most pleased to get that done right at the death. So, yeah, crazy game. Really, really crazy. Run meters 232 to 350, so Sarries getting the better of that. Sarries had slightly more possession and territory, but London Irish managed more clean breaks 6-4. Defenders beaten 22-14 to Saracens. Penalties conceded 16-9 in London Irish's favour. No, not favour, because you don't want to have more penalties conceded. So, yeah, a lot more penalties conceded. Rona gets 3 tries, just like I mentioned. Bernard Jansen van Rensburg, 2 tries, 50 run meters, 2 clean breaks, 3 defenders beaten. So, good shift from him. Billy V, 10 defenders beaten and 58 run meters. Must be the best shift he's put in for a while. I don't remember seeing him that much. Maybe I need to watch Sarries next week, because I've been, during the Six Nations, well neglecting the Premiership, to be fair. So, yeah, London Irish are 7 wins, 6 losses, and 3 draws in 6th. That's a pretty sweet position in the table. Sarries 10 wins, 5 losses, and a draw. They are in 2nd. The London Irish are away to Sale. Sarries have got the bye. So, yeah, it's the first 4. The next one, Northampton and Sale, I also didn't manage to see the full game. I saw the last one, but I didn't see this one. I saw it in highlights. It seemed to be a nice day. When so many games in the UK, Ireland and whatnot were pretty rotten over the weekend, this one seemed to be pretty nice. First points of the game go to Sale, a penalty. Northampton really seemed to struggle with high balls in this game from what the highlights showed. Anyway, a couple of the Sale tries come from high balls. The first one through Reid was certainly, I think it was Hutchinson, failed to take a high ball. So 10-0 after only, 5 minutes? That's a pretty brutal start for the Northampton guys. They did manage to hit back. It was looking like it was going to be a high-scoring one. Augustus got one. And he's looked pretty good, I think, throughout the season. He seems to have taken a step up since leaving South Africa. Yeah, Jansen van Rensburg with a tap pass to James. That one was just one of those ones where you just bat it. They looked at it, but it was all good. So some proper skills on 15 minutes. So a proper high-scoring one early. Did settle down a little bit. There was another try through Coles on 37. I think Matsavesi had a big part in that one, didn't he? He had like a defender beaten and then like an offload. Like, he seems to be in the form of his life as well, because he seems to be involved in a bit of everything, getting some really decent game time. So yeah, 14-15 at half time was Sale just in front. But then Jansen van Rensburg gets a try, set up one, he gets one on 59 minutes. That one was also Northampton struggling with a high ball. So yeah, Furbank missed a penalty at the death. They could have won it, but yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention the Mitchell try. That one was like Skorsan and Proctor in the build-up. So yeah, Northampton had gone in front. The Jansen van Rensburg try took the lead, but yeah, Northampton could have won at the death. Missed a penalty. It was close, but yeah, nothing doing. So interestingly, I feel like maybe Northampton, it's hard to say without watching it in full, but maybe should have won this one. Run meters 348 to 230, Northampton's favour. Possession 60-40 to Northampton. Territory 70-30. 60-40, 70-30. Yeah, that's right. To Northampton. Clean breaks 5-3 to Sale. Sale make 172 tackles to 85 from Northampton. So a lot of defending from Sale. Penalties considered 17 to Sale, 8 to Northampton. So what was going on? Alex Mitchell, 83 run meters, a clean break, 4 defenders beaten. Jono Ross, 16 from 17 tackles for Northampton. Sorry, for Sale. Mitchell with the running stats like I just mentioned. 17 penalties conceded, no yellow cards is interesting as well. So yeah, a bit of a weird one. But Sale are in cracking form, man. 8 wins, 7 losses and a draw, and 7th now. Remember, they were well down the bottom only a few weeks ago. Northampton are 8 and 7, they're in 9th, so it's been a bit of a mixed run. I think they're 2 from their last 4 games, so a bit stuttering at the moment. The last one, Newcastle and Exeter. I watched this one with my old man, like I said, which was pretty pleasing. And it's another one that was a bit of a weird game. Newcastle were in front for ages in this game. But they were under the pump for a long time as well. Like, they made a lot of tackles in this game. Exeter's execution at times was honestly pretty shocking. But yeah, it's one where Exeter did manage to get it done pretty late with a penalty. Essentially, they couldn't really crack Newcastle in terms of getting tries, and that's despite the fact that Newcastle played the majority of the game with a man red carded. So yeah, a lot of Exeter pressure early. There was a yellow card warning to Newcastle, which doesn't come. But 15 minutes, Exeter go 27 phases, and eventually Exeter chuck it into touch. So you got to give a heap of credit to the Newcastle defence. They were under the pump, but managed to kind of hold under relentless pressure. Kind of against the run of play. This guy, Will Haydenwood, I forget how much I've seen of him. I watch that much rugby. Sometimes he doesn't stick out, but he will now because he's got absolute wheels for a 10. Intercept, really good intercept, some wicked pace. 7-0 to Newcastle. It is kind of against the run of play. And then Newcastle get the red card. It's direct contact to the head against the fullback, but it's a pretty unfortunate one, but probably worse than the Coleman one. So yeah, it's a red card, so Newcastle under a lot more pressure, but Exeter can't really put them to the sword. I mean, they get a bunch of knock-ons. O'Flaherty misses one chance when they kick it to him. It's a kick through. He's the first man to it. He just can't gather it. It's kind of around his thighs. It's a little bit low, but other times he would have gathered that. There's a bit of handbags. You can feel the Exeter guys are getting frustrated. Finally, Exeter got a big maul try on 36 minutes, and it was the scrum penalty that had kind of set up that field position. So Schickling went over for that one. So it's 7 points apiece. Second half, the Newcastle number 6, Basham, he gets a ride on the top of a maul, which was bizarre. The maul was trucking along, and he was just sitting on top, waiting to kind of come down because he'd contested the line-out ball. But yeah, eventually Exeter got another try. Inard got one on 44 minutes. But that being said, 55 minutes, Newcastle, they didn't score 2, but it was a pretty sweet one. McGuigan gets it. Maroney has a line break, and they've got good hands. I think that all started from Newcastle losing their own line-out ball. It was kind of a bit of unstructured play, but it was finished with McGuigan getting the try. So they kicked the conversion, so it's 14-12. And it remained 14-12 for ages. Like, Exeter had issues at scrum time, at maul time, particularly line-out time. Like, errors just really strewing throughout the game. But then Newcastle also kicked it out on the full, so neither side kind of flawless for sure. Newcastle, I wrote a note, they're holding on for grim death towards the end, but they were getting big turnovers, they were getting big tackles. But eventually, Exeter got a scrum penalty on Newcastle's feed as well. And Newcastle kind of just failed to hook it, and then that left the ball in there enough for Newcastle's pack to have to hold up, but they couldn't do it. So with a couple of minutes to go, Exeter opt for the 3. That puts them in front. And that's all she wrote. So, yeah, a bit of a brutal one for the home fans up in Newcastle. But, yeah, sometimes that's just the way it goes. Run meters 276 to 260, pretty tight. Possession, Exeter 56 and territory 66 Exeter. So, they did have the lion's share of the ball and the field position. Their line out, though, 8 from 9 for Newcastle. 16 out of 24 for Exeter. That's a pretty rotten stat right there. If they get that right, I feel like they score a lot more points. But, I mean, Newcastle 134 tackles to 77 for Exeter. They had to defend for large periods. And Exeter's tackling percentage, I think of every game I've watched this weekend, is the lowest. That includes Super Rugby. 77% is really poor. So Exeter, some big work-ons. Newcastle were at 88, which is pretty respectable. Pretty good. Penalties conceded 14-5. So Newcastle on the wrong side of a lot of the stats, but They only lost it by a point. Shows the kind of determination. The flanker Collett makes 16 from 18 tackles. Hayden Wood, the 10, like I mentioned for Newcastle, 115 run meters to three defenders beaten in a clean break. Cordero comes off the bench and has a bunch of run meters, clean break, defender beaten and whatnot as well. So, yeah, pretty crazy weekend of games. Like I said, I think it's an indication that the league is in a pretty good position when you can get so many close games. Certainly some games that could have gone the other way. Newcastle certainly could have held on. Northampton maybe statistically should have won their game. Saracens gave away a penalty at the end to lose that one. Yeah, really crazy stuff. Anyway, I'm going to go. You guys let me know your thoughts on the games this weekend. We look forward to the Six Nations coming up, but also some Premiership action as well. So, yeah, you guys take care. I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.